Feeling feeling like no matter how much you do all the things, your Instagram account is struggling to grow? Make sure you watch this video to learn what's working now to organically grow a large, engaged audience on Instagram in 2019. For the best creative business advice to teach you how to beat the odds of success as a business, subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video every Wednesday. If you're feeling so discouraged by the chances of finding real success on Instagram in 2019, by the end of this live stream, you'll not only get my 3 favorite hacks for growing a large, authentic, engaged audience, but you'll also have a bird's eye view of the best way for you to move forward in your Instagram strategy. These are the exact things I've been studying closely and gotten backstage access and conversations with friends who have hundreds of thousands of followers. Oh, and for those of you here live, stick around because I'll be answering questions at the end. I'm also giving away $100 to Glossier for a lucky one of you at the end. But before we get into the nitty-gritty strategies I'm sharing with you today, you need to know this. There is a monumental shift happening on Instagram that you need to understand in order to grow an authentic, engaged, and large following in 2019. What's the shift? It's the fact that over the last couple of years, Instagram has become so saturated with perfectly curated Instagram accounts, which makes it difficult to give Instagram users the thing they crave most right now: authenticity. So now followers are no longer impressed by super curated feeds. In fact, they're actually kind of wary of them. There's too many and it doesn't feel real. Now, before you get all up in arms with me, I want to remind you that I'm not just saying that people don't want pretty. People actually still love to see pretty things, but the prettiest needs to add to the authenticity of the feed instead of take away from it. So my first tip is, before you post your next pretty photo, ask if it adds to the authenticity of your brand or takes away from it. To understand how to really build a happening Instagram account that people need to follow, we need to take several steps back to look at Instagram and ask ourselves, why did this happen? So let's go back to 2011 when this platform started. In all of your Instagram hacking education, have you ever stopped to look at what Instagram's mission statement is? To be honest, I didn't until prepping for this video, and it has changed my entire outlook on Instagram forever. So when it started, Instagram's mission was this: we're building Instagram to allow you to experience moments in your friends' lives through pictures as they happen. Right now, we experience moments in our friends' lives through so many different ways: texting, WhatsApp, Marco Polo, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and so many more. But back then, it was just pretty much texting and Facebook. Smartphones and mobile devices were barely starting to be a thing, and people weren't taking pictures of things that were Instagrammable yet. That wasn't a thing. So here's what Instagram had to say about the problem they were solving with their app back then. We created Instagram to solve 3 problems. 1, mobile photos always come out looking mediocre. Our awesome looking filters transform your photos into professional looking snapshots. 2, sharing on multiple platforms is a pain. We help you take a picture once and then share it instantly on multiple devices. 3, most uploading experiences are clumsy and take forever. We've optimized the experience to be fast and efficient. That's a different world than 2019, isn't it? In 2019, we have phones that take professional quality images. I have half a dozen apps on my phone to help me edit way better than Instagram does, and uploading is easy to pretty much any platform I want to use. Plus, I don't want to share the same picture all over the place. So I want you to remember this world of 2011 and the few years after, while Instagram was really taking off. Do you remember the intense filters, the blurry, dark photos? They were kind of bad pictures, but I did feel like I was getting to experience a little of my friends' lives through their pictures, just like their mission statement says. Sometimes influencers will say things like, if you scroll back to 2011, you'll see all of my embarrassing filtered photos. I would never do that now. But I don't think that's anything embarrassing. That's what Instagram used to look like. That was the thing to do. But then here's what happened. Because Instagram is such a visual place, and it's designed to be that way, the first influencers and creatives realized something. If I apply the same design principles to Instagram as I do to my photography, design, or other creative things I do, people get really excited. They pay more attention and I get more followers. Similarly, bloggers who had already mastered some photography skills for their blog started to create content similar to their blog on Instagram. I remember the first time I saw professional photos on Instagram, I totally fell head over heels. I would scroll for hours, wishing so badly that I could take pictures like that too. So I started to make professional pictures a thing. And so did the rest of anyone wanting to grow a following, right? And don't get me wrong, professional pictures are awesome, especially for those photographers out there freaking out. Having professional images in my Instagram was central to my growth, especially in 2017. And of course, then influencer marketing started happening and the stakes were rising higher and higher so that people were putting on high productions to create beautiful content that caught people's attention on Instagram. At the same time, everyone got hyper-focused on the amount of followers and likes once they saw that people were getting thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of followers. Just something bound to happen in our competitive species. And the people who had the beautiful feeds stood out the most, and their accounts skyrocketed without much hustle. Do you see how it turned from this platform of just sharing what was going on with each other's lives and became a platform of putting on this front of perfection? I mean, the numbers, the image-based platform, do you see how it's a recipe for the opposite of authenticity? How it became exactly like a popularity contest from high school? I know you felt this too, which is why some of the stuff you're doing probably isn't working right now. Raise your hand if when you see up-and-coming influencers, it all just feels like a bunch of the same. Everyone looks too perfect. They're following the advice of someone who grew their following 5+ years ago, and it just isn't really working. Plus, as an audience member, if you can often feel like you're just not seeing the real thing and it's not about experiencing moments in your friends' lives through pictures as they happen, and I admit, I taught this when it worked in the past. I'd tell people to curate a gorgeous feed and tell them how. When they'd ask if the photo needed to be something that had just happened, I'd say no, that just the caption needed to be that. But it's happened too much, and too curated of feeds have made it feel like people are just putting on their best, and we don't actually get to see who they really are. It's hugely detrimental for mental health, especially for women. One study showed that Instagram is the most unhealthy platform for women, saying that women have the tendency to compare and despair. Comment below if you're ready to see more authenticity in the feeds that are perfectly curated. So let's bring this back in. If Instagram's mission statement is about building a place to allow you to experience moments in your friends' lives through pictures as they happen, and you're feeling left out, comparing and despairing, then that's not helping Instagram's mission statement. Its statement is not a place where anyone and everyone can prove that they're popular, rich, and beautiful. Build a following now. I mean, that's not their statement. Even though it may not always feel like it, Instagram is always looking to protect authentic experience. Here's the description of one of the brains behind Instagram. He's known for balancing sharp design thinking with thoughtful product strategy to create experiences that bring people together and encourage authentic communication. Do you see how a curated feed interrupts this? How it's actually a barrier to bringing people together and encouraging authentic communication? Do you see how perfectly planned and executed photo shoots are interfering with people experience the moments in their friends' lives through pictures that they happen? Now, if we want to overcome the Instagram algorithm and make our businesses work on this platform, we need to work with their mission statement, not against it. This video is not about telling you can't have a beautiful feed anymore, but it is about telling you this. Great content no longer means having a professional looking image. Just having a pretty feed does not cut it on Instagram for growth anymore. And come on, shouldn't we know that by now? All that don't judge a good book by its cover stuff. And something that's never made sense to me is this. How come celebrities' Instagrams aren't that pretty? Why am I obsessed with Blake Lively's feed? And she could literally have the most perfect Instagram feed possible with all of her photo shoots, but she doesn't. I used to think, wow, if they just knew a little more about curating Instagram, they could have the best feed ever. But over the last few months, I realized something. If Blake Lively's feed were full of professional photos, it would keep her followers at a distance. It would feel like we're just scrolling through a magazine, not like we have an in with her. While Instagram can have this perfect feeling candy shell look, that is actually a passing phase for the platform. And what's at the root of Instagram will always be their mission statement. While it's changed since 2011, the spirit of it is similar. Our mission is to bring you closer to the people and things you love. So in essence, if the goal is to bring audiences closer to the people and things they love, a curated feed is a barrier to this. Beauty isn't necessarily a barrier, but perfect curation is. It lacks vulnerability. It lacks that authenticity that allows people to feel close to the people and things they love. This is about refocusing from a place of what's my to-do list to grow and changing it to how can I allow my audience to get closer to the people and things they love today? What is most important now on Instagram is adding value for people. So for the rest of this class, I'm going to one, show you exactly how people are growing like huge and quickly on Instagram now, since great photos are now passé and no longer the trick. Two, I'm going to give you some examples of people who are growing quickly right now, so you can go check them out and see the strategies in action. And three, I'm going to show you the 3 kinds of content that you can start to create to add value for all of your people. So first, how are people growing so fast on Instagram? It used to be that people would land on a profile, the first 9 would take their breath away, and they'd click follow. Like we talked about, it's so much harder to capture people's attention this way now. That's why you can spend so much time and money creating professional images. People will probably respect you more as a business, but it won't necessarily be a huge growth factor for you on Instagram. Your photo shoots are not a waste though. Having them every once in a while when it's relevant to what's going on in life and business is so good. Like when you pull out a photo to show somebody in real life, like, hey, we just got our family pictures taken. What do you think? You know, that kind of thing. Plus, those images are still great for making you look legit on your website, bringing you traffic from Pinterest and other places, but it's not the best for Instagram all the time now. If we use Instagram as close to the mission statement as possible, we're going to have more growth. Remember, the current mission statement is, our mission is to bring you closer to the people and things you love. When I read this mission statement, the vision I see for Instagram is that it is a supporting feature of your business. It is not the central hub of your entire business. Even if you have content people love on Instagram and you can grow your following that way, eventually you need to take them somewhere else for a sustainable business model. Plus, in terms of growth, this is the real kicker. The biggest growth I'm seeing on Instagram right now is actually happening off of Instagram. Let me show you a few of the people I'm seeing lately who are growing the most quickly right now on Instagram, or who have had huge growth in 2018 and have super awesome, valuable content. I've also linked their profiles below so you can go check them out later. So one is people who are creating incredibly valuable content on searchable platforms like YouTube, Pinterest, other places. For example, this one, Peter McKinnon, I love. He's a photographer who's on YouTube and he's growing by tens of thousands all the time. He has this rocking channel where he takes people on his photographing adventures all over the world and also teaches people the best photography tricks they're wanting to learn. Once they're hooked on his YouTube channel, then they come over to Instagram and join the party there because they want to be closer to this person that they love. He has a pretty curated feed because he is a photographer taking people on this journey. But I highly doubt that just these beautiful photos would be enough to grow his following the way it has to over 1 million followers without YouTube. So YouTube is the center of his content and Instagram supports it as a way for followers to follow along and be closer to him. Another example I love is Dearly Bethany, also on YouTube. She is growing by thousands every month. She's also a YouTuber who grew her following on Instagram and YouTube. She challenged herself to document her outfits and fashion and find her style for an entire year. She has this slow fashion kind of approach that I think you'll really like. And she's got over 200,000 followers on YouTube because she created videos people are truly searching for. She used to have a very curated feed on Instagram with the perfect light and bright filter and a perfect grid that went back and forth from beautiful outfit flat lay to the outfit on her body in a studio setting. Now she's recently started to take more authentic to life feeling photos on her feed. They're still beautiful, but she's setting those images with a real background instead of just floating in white, and it's not as professional looking. It feels more authentic to her real life. And her YouTube is really the engine of her audience growth. Instagram is a place for her audience as well, but it's a lot smaller than her YouTube, and it's a place for them to get closer to this person that they already love. So the first way people are growing incredibly fast is to be creating content on searchable platforms. In both of these cases, YouTube, that they then come over to be closer to those people on Instagram. Then number two, people are part of incredibly valuable content on platforms outside of Instagram. This is similar to the other one, but it's not about the search. So you've done this yourself, right? TV and Netflix programs like The Bachelor, Queer Eye, Marie Kondo. I always look up people from The Bachelor. I follow people from Queer Eye. These people are now celebrities because they were able to be on another platform. And I'm not saying this to be like, well, I guess you have to be on a Netflix show to make it on Instagram. I'm saying that this is just one way I see people growing extremely quickly on Instagram. Again, they're part of some other big platform. They provided value elsewhere. And then people come over to Instagram to be closer to that person that they love. So that second one is to be part of incredibly valuable large platforms outside of Instagram. I'm not going to go into that one too much because most of us here are bootstrapping our audience, so we'll get back to that. The third way I'm seeing people actually grow is because their content on Instagram is so good that it's being featured outside of Instagram. For example, Julius Dean has grown his Instagram so quickly. He's this quirky street magic performer, and he just travels around doing magic tricks for people, and they're really fun and funny videos. Well, I'm sure plenty of people love his videos enough to tag their friends and share funny videos. His Instagram gets featured all the time. I actually heard about him for the first time on Lewis Howes's podcast. Another one is Benny Drama. He's a hilarious comedian, and my husband found an article on BuzzFeed that featured him, and then he showed that to me. I followed him right away, and we spent like 45 minutes one night watching all of his videos, and I shared them with my family too. So my friend Jenna Kutcher went viral last year from just one post and was featured in like most of the major news outlets and grew from about 200,000 to 700,000 followers in a few weeks. So What I'm saying by this is that if you really want to have a big following, you can't grow your Instagram in a vacuum. And if you're just thinking, gosh, Emma, I just want to have a successful business, not be crazy famous, then that's a good realization to have right now. There are people with million-dollar businesses and small Instagram followings who use Instagram still, and they give their small following a chance to be close to them on that platform. What I'm trying to say is that you can no longer just hack some photos that look like the people you admire, throw up a caption, use a bunch of hashtags, and expect to grow to 100,000 followers. It just isn't working anymore. This is going to take some major rethinking of how Instagram is supporting your business. It cannot be the baseline. It can only be a way for people to get closer to what you're already creating that they like. So that's number 3. Their content is getting featured outside of Instagram, which drives people back to Instagram to follow them. Then number 4, people who have a real relationship with people with large followings and get shout outs from them. So one of my friends, Kate Escuri, grew her following to 10,000 in a few months or a year because her sister, Jenna Kutcher, gave some awesome shout outs to her. But I'm not saying she's just like riding her coattails or anything. Kate creates really good content that gets some of the best engagement I've ever seen. She tells a story of her and her husband's love. She gives great advice about exactly what her followers want to learn about, and she's really there to serve. So she got that shout out, and now she is serving like crazy to make it a truly valuable place for her followers to be. So number 4 is to focus on cultivating relationships outside of Instagram. Invest in mentors, programs, go to conferences, and meet people for real, so you can then use each other's audiences. Then number 5 is paid traffic and other traffic sources, which first off, I think paid traffic is great. Some of my favorite people online I've met through ads. But I hate to say it, and I won't name names, but a lot of people who are teaching Instagram and talking about their authentic numbers grew their audience, the authentic Instagram, years ago. And a lot of the followers they have now come from ads and lots of other ways that they're bringing in traffic, whether it's YouTube, articles they've been featured in, podcasts they've been featured in, and other things. And they're focusing on just the Instagram platform and what they teach because people ask about hashtags and photo editing and other stuff. That stuff is good to create a good experience once people come over, but they've got to come from somewhere. Huge growth is no longer happening just within the platform. So if you want to grow fast, I'm not seeing people growing quickly only on Instagram. I really do think that for a while, Instagram growth could exist in a vacuum, but I just don't see it working anymore. It needs to support your business, not be your business. Even now, a lot of people who have made their living off of being Instagrammers, i.e. getting sponsorships, they're changing their business models to have their own physical or digital products, services, coaching, in addition to being sponsored by brands. So things are really changing. So here's my call to you. If you really want to build an audience, go out and create content. Live great content, show great content, make it happen outside of Instagram. Make something so valuable to people that they literally can't get enough, and they come find you on Instagram for more of you and what they love. I know this is probably not what you want to hear, but things are changing. And as your coach, I feel like I would be doing such a disservice to you if I spent this time talking about tips and tricks. Look at the people that I gave examples of, especially the people who are growing their own platform. See what they're doing, find your own way. Believe that you have something worth saying, bigger, and this is really possible for you. Then you'll see that people want to come closer to you, the person they love. So stop nitpicking and worrying about all the little things. Yes, you can use comments and story polls and hashtags and DM to optimize your account. And I'll teach you how to do those things too on this channel and elsewhere. But if you don't have something valuable that people want to use Instagram to get closer to you, none of the tips and tricks will work. I want to give you permission to create bravely and boldly for the people in your audience now and in the future, and to give you permission to stop chasing creating the perfect curated content that's supposed to bring you thousands of followers, and start figuring out how you can deliver real value to your audience every time they connect with you. It is possible to have a profitable business without having tons of Instagram followers. It's also possible to grow a large following, even on Instagram. It's just probably not going to happen by you traveling to amazing places and expecting your photographs to bring the followers in. So how do you want to make people want to be closer to you? You create content that is valuable to them. Because here's the thing, you can't control what will go viral. You can't control what people will share. What you can control, the value of the content you produce and the relationships that you cultivate. So there are 3 kinds of content that people want anywhere online. So the first is education. This is seriously the easiest way to grow quickly. And this doesn't mean you have to start calling yourself an educator, which I feel like now is just the new word for influencer. People have been charging others to learn that expertise for a long time. And because of the internet, people have nicknamed our era as the age of information. So capitalize on this. People are hungry for it. People turn to their devices for it. So find out what your audience wants to learn and teach it to them. Give them tutorials, step-by-steps, and so much more. Another way to educate them is to just show them different accounts that share awesome stuff that you think they would love. Whatever you can think of, teach them what they need to know. This is the quickest way to grow, and the way those other accounts like Peter McKinnon and Dearly Bethany on YouTube are growing right now at such a huge rate. So go check them out for sure and see how tangible the education they're giving away is. Number 2 is inspiration. One of my friends, Beth Kirby's account is definitely inspirational. And one of my favorite things I've heard her say about growing an account is that she says to create great content, you have to live great content. And for her, that's traveling all over the world and taking gorgeous photos. But not just that, she writes to inspire people to live their dreams. And she's a really good writer. But that's not the only way to live and create great content. All you have to do is live the things that your audience wants most. If that means having creative and beautiful makeup every day, then live that and show them. If that means raising kids in a healthy way, do your best to do that and show them what it looks like when it works and when it fails. And don't be afraid to show your shortcomings. Then the third way is entertainment. This is the slowest way to growth, but it can be done. Like I love Spark Notes for their entertaining content. There are also comedians like Benny Drama and The Magician I told you about, and entertainers who do this, but it has to be more than just posting a beautiful photo. You have to find something that's funny or engaging or otherwise valuable. Again, I linked to the profiles I've been talking about today, but my main piece of advice is this. Get off Instagram, create the incredible things that you create as a business, whether that's changing people's lives on an individual basis, creating beautiful paintings or studying culture or whatever it may be. Go live that great content and then take us behind the scenes so that we can get closer to that amazing stuff that you're creating that we love and to you. It's time to get back to what Instagram was made for. Here's a couple quick tips to end. If you treat your audience like a friend, you're taking behind the scenes, you're creating content that's actually valuable. I promise people will start sharing, they will come looking for you, and they will find you. Make sure you invite them to share, invite them to tag people, and spend the majority of your time these next little while where you're figuring it out in Instagram stories and direct messages, because that's where the real engagement is happening in 2019 on the platform. And most of all, do what you can to create something incredible that makes everyone on Instagram want to be closer to you. So now you know how to grow your following on Instagram in 2019, but what about what to write in what will now be your incredibly valuable captions? I've got 3 free captions where you can just fill in the blank with your incredible content to make sure you are helping them get closer to the people and things they love best. The link is below. Also, if you want to join a community of creative business owners just like you, come join me on my Instagram at Emma_Natter, where you better believe I'm going to be trying some of these same ideas and where you can connect with other business owners who are beating the odds. If you like this video, please let me know by liking it and below and subscribe and share it with your fellow creative business besties, and comment below with using it if you plan to take action on today's ideas. Now, what I want you to do is comment with a yes if you're here so I can see who's here, like those of you live, so that I can randomly choose a winner for Glossier. So I'm just gonna wait just a couple seconds. And once you say yes, then I would also love to, yay, lots of people here, this is awesome. Okay, so let's see. I'm just going to a little bit more because the yeses are still coming in. I would also love, once these yeses stop coming in, I would love to answer some questions for you. I got about 10 minutes. I'm happy to stay and answer some questions on how we can apply these, or if there's some things that are confusing you. Yay, this is really great. Okay, so I'm going to do a random number generator and we'll see where it is. Okay, awesome. The pressure's on. Anna H, you won. Who's Anna H? This is really great. Anna H, you won. I don't know what your last name is. This is really exciting. Okay.
So everybody else who's here, Anna H, OMG, thank you. Okay, you're here. Okay, go and DM me on Instagram. DM me your email address, and then we'll get you that gift card. I'm so excited. Thank you all so much for staying till the end. I'm so happy you're here. Jamie's heart was racing. Okay, so does anybody have questions? I'm just gonna go through the comments really quickly and see if there's any specific. And thank you for bearing with me. I actually was recording for like 10 minutes and didn't realize that it wasn't public. So thanks for bearing with me and still making this happen. Okay, thank you guys so much for being here. Really, really appreciate it. If you guys have specific questions, I'm over on DM, and come and hang out and let me know. Make sure you like this, and then we'll talk soon. Oh, I got a question. How do you create personal content in a page that's for a specific product? Yeah, so I would treat that, Karina, as something that it's like, that it's the behind the scenes of the product. And so all the products that you're creating and all the things that you're doing, like a lot of the things that people have been saying in the past, I think are still great, where it's like, show other people using your product. And next week I have a video coming up with like 10 business content ideas to steal. So it's going to be awesome. But like, you can be showing other people using your product. You can be featuring different things. You teach people about your product, like all those kinds of things. But I would just approach everything from like a behind the scenes creation kind of point of view, if that makes sense. So I would just always be making it feel like, oh, you're getting the behind the scenes look. And if you want to see the perfect looking stuff, go to my website, if that makes sense. And there can still be like some beautiful things that are a little bit less curated and perfect, but kind of like, you know, when you get a new shipment in, or you've made a whole new batch of things, or a little behind the scenes of you actually making it, if you do the actual making, you know, behind the scenes of a product shoot, you know, you want it to feel like they get to kind of like peek over your shoulder, and that like you're besties with them, and they get to see the behind the scenes in the production process. I feel like that's something I want to just like let you chew on, because I think there's so many different ways that you can take it, but those are just a couple of things that I'd be thinking about. And especially on Instagram stories, it's like so easy to just like get on and take people behind the scenes. And on Instagram stories, you don't have to like, it's even less of a barrier of curation. So it like really doesn't have to look that great. Okay, Sally asks, when creating content, do you think video or blog is the way to go with content? You know, I think that either one works. I think it just depends on how you're getting it out there. So if you're doing video, like everything that I'm learning about YouTube is that it's like, it is incredible, the reach that you can have, because it's a search engine that's created by the biggest search engine in the world, i.e. Google. So when people Google, like you can be the answer to their Google question, if that makes sense. And so that's an amazing one if you want to do YouTube. But then if you want to do blog, you can do Pinterest, and you can do Pinterest when you're doing YouTube too. Like we're going to be doing that once I get my ish together. But anyway, like if you have a blog, then you just want to make sure that you're not just creating the blog, that you're making sure that you are responding to things that people are actually asking questions about. You know, like I would be looking into Pinterest and making sure that your SEO is actually working, because you can blog your whole heart out and your whole life. And if nobody's searching for it, then it's not going to do anything. So if you're doing these things to be searchable, i.e. like Pinterest and YouTube, then you're going to be good. Everybody's saying that like content is going video. So I would definitely recommend like thinking about having video down the line, even if you're not ready for it now. Jasmine asks, I feel like I'm good when it comes to stories, but how do you recommend engaging with DMs? Oh, I love DMs so much. And if we've been able to talk over DMs, I just like, it's like probably my favorite part of Instagram, and probably where I spend too much time. Because my son is like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm writing a message to my friend. I have to send them a text. Anyway, but then I have boundaries too. But anyway, engaging with DMs. If somebody says something, like I would just make sure that you're asking follow-up questions that you're actually interested in. You know, like think of people who are really good conversationalists in your life, like people that you're like, wow, they're so easy to talk to. Or maybe you're that person, which is great. But just always be thinking about like, wow, what do the people say that makes it so easy for me to just like tell my story to them, that they just make me feel so comfortable, so happy, so excited? What are the questions that they ask me? How do they engage? Like if I, you know, the people that are like that in my life,
it's like I share something and they ask me a follow-up question, and then I'm just like blabbering on about like all these things that I love. And then they, it turns into a back and forth. So think of literally like the questions. If you respond to somebody's stories or somebody responds to your story, try and think of like a real question you can ask them, even if you have to go over to their profile and like read a couple of their things to get to know them for a sec. Hopefully that's a little bit helpful to get you started. Lena says, I've been working on creating content versus captions, so I'm glad to know that it's relevant. Does posting at a particular time still matter? I think like everything that I hear is that like, yeah, if you're like the things that, that like people are saying, whereas like, post at the right time and like use some hashtags, like there's so much content out there, just like Google it, post at the right time, use some hashtags, like comment within an hour, like that's going to get you some good engagement. But this is like big long-term growth plan that I'm talking about. So I want you to like dream big, Lena. And then when it's time for you to like, make the systems that you need to make so that you can optimize it as much as possible. And you're not spending like, 2 hours on every post. It's like you write the post, you optimize it with these little things that you need, schedule it. Because I think that's what we need to be doing. We're spending too much time being like, oh my gosh, I just spent like 2 hours getting that post perfect, and then I didn't get any engagement. It's like there are systems that you can use to cut down that time so it feels a lot less stressful on you. So hopefully, but yeah, like I think the things, like there are the things, so keep doing the things. And we could talk more about the things, and I can teach more about that if you want to. Romina, I'm sorry, I don't know how to say your name. Do you think long captions make people interact more? This really just depends on what your audience is. So some audiences love really, really, really short captions, and they like to just like, some of those, like, especially like the teenager influencers. Have you been like following some of them? It's nuts. They have like a couple of emojis or a couple of words, and like, it's not my style, so I don't love that. But they get a great engagement with their audience, and their audience really just wants to see them showing up and, looking like it's a text that you'd send to a friend, and so that works. But then there's other people, and I would put myself in that category, where it's like my audience wants to learn and to feel inspired, and to see a little bit more behind. And I want to share that with them. Like I want to build a stronger, deeper connection than just that shallow, like, here's what I look like today, which is fine for some people. That's just like not the way that I work and where I think my value is. So if that makes sense, yeah, okay. So it just really depends on your audience. So I would just like, I would actually just, what's it called? Experiment with it. Try some short ones and try some long ones. Sita asks, will this be visible as a video on your YouTube channel? Yes. It's going to be here hopefully forever. So you can go back and catch the beginning of it if you missed it. Sorry, I lost my spot. You guys are the best. Marcy says, do you think IGTV is important as well as stories? Yes, I think so. I think it's like not as important. I don't think it's as important as stories right now. I think possibly in the future it could be, but at this point, I think it's a little bit more niche still. But I think like if you are not ready to like do a YouTube channel or have videos somewhere else, like I think that IGTV can be a really great place to start. And I definitely think people are going to be looking more and more for YouTube, or not YouTube, for video. And if you have really great stuff that's like, if you have really great content and that out there, and people, if you are like driving people to your Instagram TV episodes, like people will keep looking for that more. But it's not the kind of thing that I feel like, oh, you can't be successful on Instagram unless you're doing Instagram TV. Like but I do think that about stories and direct message. Laura says, you've inspired me to start a YouTube channel. Will you be sharing your step-by-step so we can begin along with you? Maybe. I have to like figure this thing out, but I'm super excited. So we'll see how it goes, Laura. Definitely follow up with me. And to enjoy, why did you pick YouTube as your next social media to tackle? And how do you see it connecting with complementing your Instagram or blog, etc.? Oh my gosh. My husband will tell you, there was a couple months ago where he was like, stop talking about YouTube. Because I was like, I got to do it. I got to do it. It sounds like the best thing ever. And I will tell you this. This is why I did it. I got so frustrated with the fact that every time I wanted to have my audience do anything, they had to, I only had one link to give them. So I can only have one link on Instagram, right? YouTube, I can have as many links as I want. When I say like,
hey, go get this free resource, go get this free resource, go look at this. I can like have product links on there. I can have like ways to get on my email list up there. I can just like share so much more with you. Instagram doesn't let me do that. Another thing, I mean, I could do the swipe up feature, but I've still just been on the fence about whether to turn my Instagram into a business account, and I haven't seen good enough evidence for me to do it there. There's lots of opinions out there, and I don't think anybody has a definitive answer about it, but I've just like stayed on personal because I'm like, it's okay. Let's not move over and risk like having less engagement. Then the other thing is that sometimes it's just like, I have a message and I just want to get it out there. I just want to teach people. I just want to share. How do I do that? And on YouTube, it's possible. Like you can engineer it so that so that when people are searching for things that they want, like your video can pop up at the top. Like that's something that's like possible. And it's going to take time for me to like do this and figure it out, but like it's going to happen. I know, like I have the strategies in place to make it happen and the support that I need on my team to make it happen. Cause it does take time and stuff. And then the other thing was that I was really considering doing podcasts versus YouTube. I thought that I was going to do a podcast for a long time. And then I realized that podcasting is a really similar hustle to Instagram. You're always having to collaborate with people. You're trying to get the word out and share it across social networks, which is great. And some people are great at that. But like for me, I'm ready to try something new. I want to be able to be searched. I want to be able to have something where people like search in something, they're like, how do they do this? And like, I'm up there, I'm like, hey guys, this is how you do this. And then I'm like, go to this link down here. And then they press it, they go to my email list, and like, then they can be in my programs and we can get to know each other better and like all of these things. And I just like, there's a couple of YouTubers that I like fell down their rabbit holes, totally like bought their stuff. And I was like, this is amazing. This is the best thing ever. Like this feels just such a beautiful business strategy that, anyway, I have more to say about it, but that's why. Alice says, I'm a portrait photographer, so my feed is highly curated, showcasing my work. How do you suggest I relate to clients? I'm so glad you asked, because I know like my first thought in like, after writing this is I was like, oh no, photographers are going to be like, what the heck do I do now? And this is what I think. What I think is that if you are not, like, if you go look at Peter McKinnon on YouTube, I would highly recommend to anybody because he's just like a genius at marketing and YouTube marketing and stuff. Go look at his, because his is like behind the scenes and tutorials for other photographers. So since you're not doing tutorials for photographers, then like I wouldn't be doing that, obviously. But anyway, so he has like so much of the learning portion on YouTube, and he's driving people from Instagram to YouTube. But since you're not doing YouTube right now, and you're just doing Instagram, I would make it so that like you were getting to see behind the scenes of you, behind the scenes, like you could just have somebody like take video of you, like bring a friend or a significant other with you on one of your shoots and just like film some moments, even if it's just on your iPhone, just to get some behind the scenes. We can see like what it looks like if you're bringing props or like if you have outfits, just like I would want to make like your portfolio and everything that you're showcasing about your beautiful work to be on your website. And then to have like I don't know what the percentage is, but maybe like at least 50% on your Instagram is about the story of being a portrait photographer and like people that you're meeting, stories of them, who you're talking to, what the process feels like, because you want them to just like come on the journey with you and experience your life as it happens, sort of, in a way that's interesting to them and is valuable, if that makes sense. So I would be showing all those kinds of things. Anyway, so I would be thinking about that. And then when you do want to show some of the beautiful work that you have, I do think it's absolutely appropriate to put that on your feed and in your stories, but it needs to be something where it's like, it makes sense why you're sharing it. So that you would be, you share it because it's like, oh, this is like, I just got these back. And like, this is my very favorite one. And it's because of this, like, this is the reason why I photograph. This is why I love it. You know what I mean? Instead of it feeling like, oh, I need to have these perfectly curated pictures and like bring people to me. And it's sort of like this catalog. Like, no, it needs to be like behind the scenes now if you want to really grow. If you're not really that obsessed with growing, I don't know. Anyway, another topic for another day. Okay. Maylee says, Emma, what would you recommend if you're posting authentic stories to Instagram, asking questions and trying to engage, but what you see in return on your post are no real engagement or comments? It just means that like I'm going to give it to you straight and hard. It means it's not valuable yet. Like for some reason, you haven't cracked the code on what's valuable for your audience. So what you need to do is like, I might even go into like, you know, however many followers you have, like see who comments on any of your posts ever, or is liking your posts, and go in and say like, hey, I'm really trying to up my Instagram game. And I'm just wondering like, why did you follow? What are you hoping to see from me? Is there anything that you can think of that would help? And then you could even say like, would it be helpful to see this? Would it helpful to see this? Because if you just go to people and you say like, tell me what I should create, you're not going to get great feedback. But if you go in and you say like, I have a few ideas. What do you think about these? What would be most helpful for you? If that makes sense. So I would start there, Maylee. It just means you haven't cracked the code. It doesn't mean you don't have anything valuable to share. It just means that you haven't figured out what that is yet. Jordan says, how do I get less curated on my Instagram feed when I'm expected to be curated and aesthetically beautiful as a designer for brands? A lot of my clients hire me because of Instagram. It's a little bit interesting because I think Jordan, you're going to have to start like teaching people that it's like, so this is what I think about you photographers and brand designers who are helping people is that you say like right now, they're probably going to come to you and say like, I want perfect this, I want perfect this, and I want perfect this for my Instagram. And what I would tell you is that it's like, okay, you need the things that work for other platforms. You need the things that work for website. You need the things that work for Pinterest. And then you say, what you need on Instagram is this and this and this. And so what you're going to need to do, Jordan, is you're going to need to like take this information and like figure out how this works for you and what I've taught you today, and figure out how it's going to work for your brand clients, because your biggest thing is to help them get success. So you may need to educate them and say like, hey, I am the one, like as a brand designer, I keep up on what's going on right now and what the best thing is happening for marketing. And for me to be able to help you, then I need to like, this is what's going to help you on Instagram. I do not want you to waste your money. This is what I can help you with, and that kind of thing. So you might need to be like educating your audience, and I would just think of like some kind of cool journey that you can take them on. I don't totally know. That's going to be something that you need to like sleep on for like weeks probably, but just be like, how can I take them on a journey where people like can't ignore me? So I don't just look like another beautiful Instagram graphic designer. Like I have like risen above and everybody's like, whoa, why didn't I think of doing that? Like that's what you want. And you can do it. Kayla says video scares the pants off me. Kayla, you are the best and everybody loves you on video. So don't even. And like behind the scenes of you painting, like that's so therapeutic for like everybody. Can you guys like say like, yes, it's therapeutic to watch somebody paint. It's so normal for you, or to draw. That's Michael asking if I'm done yet. So he left the house. That's my husband. Okay, so I think we've gone over 10 minutes. This has been so fun to talk to you guys. I can't wait to continue this conversation. Let's continue it over on Instagram. Yeah, I think I'll do a post about it and then we can comment on there so we can like talk to each other. Maybe that'll be a good way to do it. But I wanted to thank you so much for being here, for supporting me. It means the world. I'm going to cry if I don't get off of here. And I will see you guys next week. Well, and I'll see you on Instagram.